For 4 decades, I was a shift worker. A shift worker, what that means is I didn't have to go to work every day. I worked basically 14 days out of every 28, and it was a cycle. It's a continuous cycle, and I did that for 4 decades. And the world of a shift worker is it's a hard life for most people. Most people can't handle it. It's tough on your spouse. It's tough on you. It's tough on your children. It's tough on your friends. A whole lot of your friends over time, they can't deal with it, particularly if they've got a straight day job. They don't understand you not being off on weekends all the time. They don't understand the weird hours and the call-ins and so much of the time, even when you're scheduled off on a lot of these jobs, you're forced to work overtime on these days, and it's real hard to plan anything. It's hard to have kind of hard to have a life when you're working under that situation. And I did it for a long time. And you don't do it alone. Your wife does it with you, and your children, and they're faced with some of the same issues, and they get tired of it too. And I understand that. My son-in-law is a shift worker as well, and so he's married to my daughter, and fortunately, my daughter grew up in the home of a shift worker, so she knows the difficulties, the ins and outs of it, the joys of it, and which are few, and the problems, which are many. And it still beats unemployment, I'll say that, but it kept us working. It put a roof over our house. It fed our kids and got them through school. And I'm not complaining about shift working. It just, a lot of people can't handle it. A lot of people don't understand it. They can't do it. And it was a difficult thing for my family and me. And but we did it all those many years. I never liked 5 days a week. Once I started working shift work, it wasn't for me. I just didn't care for it. It seemed like I was working all the time. But as it turned out, shift work wasn't a whole lot different. I missed a lot of events with my kids. I missed a lot of family outings. I missed a lot of holidays. And for many years, I think my wife really didn't understand that I hated to miss holidays. She thought I didn't care about them. But I think that was just a mindset a shift worker had to get into to get through it all. You had to convince yourself it really didn't matter that much. It wasn't that important, and you didn't need to do it. And I think quite often that was what happened. I'm retired now, and I'm still not off this whole shift worker schedule, this whole thing that you don't know how to sleep. The shifts where I'm supposed to be working nights, I tend to struggle to sleep those nights. Your body kind of gets in a rhythm too, with years and years of that. And you don't just walk away from your job and retire and then suddenly you return to normal because you slept a couple weeks. It just doesn't go like that. And so I'm still dealing with that. I'm getting a lot of writing done, more so than I was in my last few years of working. But you just don't return to normal from the abnormality of a shift schedule. It's difficult. Few people can handle it. A lot of people don't like it. Many of them just run to get away from it. And I can't say I always liked it, but it sometimes beats some of the alternatives. But I still had to work. I had to earn a living. I had to feed me and my family, and it was just something I had to do. And so shift work isn't all that bad when you can get those things done. But it doesn't return to normal right now, even though I've retired now and I'm not going back on shift. Shift's still a little bit with me. You just don't walk away from shift and return to something called normal instantly. It just doesn't work that way. And I don't know anybody that's ever retired from shift work that ever just walked right back and just boom, they were back to normal. It just doesn't go like that. It never has. I don't think it ever will. If you've been on it for a long time, your body's kind of conditioned to it. and you get used to these patterns of being off, being working. You never get completely adjusted to it because you work so many overtime days in between. So those keep you from being on your normal schedule as far as your body and your sleep cycles work. But shift work, I'm glad to be away from it. I'm I'm relieved to be retired now. I hope I can make it all work, and I'm just looking forward to what it holds for me. And I know my wife's happy that I'm not going away every night or a lot of nights. And so it's a different world I'm living in now. I'm trying to adjust to it, trying to get to where it returns to normal again. But I don't know I quite know what normal is yet, because you spend 4 decades on shift work, it does something to you. It's hard on you physically, emotionally, probably mentally, every other way that you can imagine. It's difficult. And I just don't think you can walk away from it and return to normal just maybe not in a month, maybe not 2-3 months. It takes a while. But I'm happy to be gone from it. I'm sure my wife is. And we're going to see what this life's like for a little bit. I'm looking for a little more than a little bit. But we're going to see how it goes. And I am happy to be away from it. I just thought I'd discuss that with you a little bit, because I've thought about it a lot here lately when I've been able to get up and do some writing in the mornings, something I hadn't consistently been able to do for quite some time. And I'm enjoying it. But I just thought I'd talk a little bit about shift work and what it is I'm kind of confronting right now. And just I'd share a little bit of that with you, because it's a weird life. If you've never worked it, you're going to have to take my word for it. It's bizarre. And that's what I had for you this week. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye now.